जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारे। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारे। जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारे। यमुना तीरा वनचारे। यमुना तीरा वनचारे। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hariharaya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana. Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohana. Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohana. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jagannatha, Jagannatha, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. जगत गुरु शील प्रभुपाद की जय, सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Hare Krishna, welcome you all to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are reading from Canto 5, Chapter 14 and verse number 2. This is a very, a complex poem in the sense, I think it is in Anushtup Chanda. Just wanted to inform you all that this is my second class on Srimad Bhagavatam. So I sincerely seek the blessings of their lordships, the Guru Parampara, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and my spiritual master, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Srila Guru Maharaj, all the senior Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, all my mentors, and all the devotees who are assembled here, so that in my very little understanding and knowledge, I will try to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. This is a very big verse, so please repeat after me. Yasyam yuha va ete shadindriya namnaha karmana dasyava evate tadhyatha purushasya dhanam yat kinchid dharmaupayikam bahukruchradhigatam sakshat paramapurusharadhana lakshano yosau dharmastam tu samparaya udharanti tadharmyam dhanam darshana sparshana sravanad. I will repeat. Darshana sparshana sravana swada. I think I'll have to repeat it again. Darshana sparshana sravana swadavagrahana sankalpa vyavasaya. Please repeat. This is a very complex thing. Griha gramyopabhogena punathasyajitatmano yatha sardhasya vilumpanti. Anybody can repeat? I think we will just go ahead with the word to word. Yasyam, in which, yuha, certainly, va, or, ete, all these, shadindriya namnaha, who are named the six senses, the mind and the five knowledge acquiring senses, karmana, by their activity. Dasyavaha, the plunderers. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai ki jai. Eva, certainly, they, tat, that, yatha, as, purushasya, of a person, dhanam, the wealth, yat, whatever, kinchit, something, dharma upayikam, which is a means to religious principles, brahukrichradhigatam, earned after much hard labor, sakshat, directly, parama purusha aradhana lakshanaha, whose symptoms are worship of the Supreme Lord by performance of sacrifices and so on. Yaha, which, asau, that, dharmaha, religious principles, tam, that, tu, but, samparaye, for the benefit of the living entity after death, udharante, the wise declare, tadharmyam, religious, relating to the prosecution of the varnashrama dharma, dhanam, wealth, darshana, by seeing, sparshana, by touching, sravana, by hearing, aswadana, by tasting, avagrahana, by smelling, sankalpa, by determination, vyavasaya, by a conclusion, griha, in the material home, gramya upabhogena, by material sense gratification, kunathasya, of the misguided conditioned soul, ajita atmanaha, who has not controlled himself, yatha, just as, sardhasya, of the living entity, interested in sense gratification, vilumpanti, they plunder. Translation: in the forest of material existence, the uncontrolled senses are like plunderers. The conditioned soul may earn some money for the advancement of Krishna consciousness, but unfortunately, the uncontrolled senses plunder his money through sense gratification. The senses are plunderers because they make one spend his money unnecessarily for seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, hearing, desiring, and willing. In this way, the conditioned soul is obliged to gratify his senses, and thus all his money is spent. This money is actually acquired for the execution of religious principles, but it is taken away by the plundering senses. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Purva Janmarjita Vidya, Purva Janmarjitam Dhanam, Agre Dhavati Dhavati. By following the principles of the Varnashrama Dharma, one attains a better position in the material world. One may be rich, learned, beautiful, or high-born. One who has all these assets should know that they are all meant for the advancement of Krishna consciousness. Unfortunately, when a person is misguided, he misuses his position for sense gratification. Therefore, the uncontrolled senses are considered plunderers. The good position one attains by executing religious principles is wasted as the plundering senses take it away. By executing religious principles under the laws of Varnashrama Dharma, one is placed in a comfortable position. one may very easily use his assets for the future advancement of Krishna consciousness. One should understand that the wealth and opportunity one gets in the material world should not be squandered in sense gratification. They are meant for the advancement of Krishna consciousness. This Krishna conscious movement is therefore teaching people to control the mind and fine knowledge acquiring senses by a definite process. One should practice a little austerity and not spend money on anything other than the regulative life of devotional service. The senses demand that one see beautiful things. Therefore, money should be spent for decorating the deity in the temple. Similarly, the tongue has to taste good food, which should be bought and offered to the deity. The nose can be utilized in smelling the flowers offered to the deity, and the hearing can be utilized by listening to the vibration of Hare Krishna mantra. In this way, the senses can be regulated and utilized to advance Krishna consciousness. Thus, a good position might not be spoiled by material sense gratification in the form of illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. One spoils an opulent position in the material world by driving cars, spending time in nightclubs, or tasting abominable food in restaurants. In these ways, the plundering senses take away all the assets that the conditioned soul has acquired with great difficulty. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuruन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा गधामह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरों श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरों वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंगायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरों दीनतारिणाम्। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततोदयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Hare Krishna. I am the personification of one verse which I am going to discuss as a part of the lecture. So I just made some notes so that I can present the little knowledge I have in a proper sequential manner. If we analyze this shloka, the key pointers, what I thought are, the first point is that this is not an allegory or mythology. The description of the material world as a forest of enjoyment, it's a direct, literal explanation of the conditioned state, not a mere myth or allegory. This forest symbolizes the real dangers and tribulations faced by the soul entangled in the material life. This is the first point. And the wholeness of explanation. The passage represents a foundational explanation of the material existence intended as a comprehensive view rather than fragmented bits. We are discussing a very small part of it, and this invites deeper understanding and cautions against superficial interpretations. Another point, what I thought was the material benefits misused. Whatever opulence, whatever knowledge, whatever beauty, or whatever birthright, Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri, one acquires in the material world should ideally be used for spiritual advancement. Instead, these are often misguided or misused. Rather, we can say misguidedly misused for sense gratification. And this leads to increased intoxication and bondage more and more, as described in Queen Kunti's prayers. And the next part is the Queen Kunti's prayers, I thought. Kunti Maharani prays that even calamities repeating again and again would be welcomed. When they will be welcomed? If they meant seeing Krishna more often. Because only Krishna's vision can end repeated births and deaths. Bhava Janma. She emphasizes the futility of material opulence, education, beauty, and wealth when they intoxicate the soul and prevent the ultimate spiritual realization. Another point what I was thinking was the purpose of life and prohibited misuse. What is the ultimate purpose of life? What's the ultimate purpose of life? Yeah. The ultimate purpose of life is spiritual realization and returning back home, back to Godhead, not accumulation of material benefits or sense pleasures, right? So, when does this misuse arises? The misuse arises when one forsakes spiritual regulations for unregulated indulgence. And this unregulated indulgence leads to what? It leads to suffering and repeated births. Next one is 4 regulations and varnashramas. Real spiritual progress is supported by the 4 regulative principles. We know the 4 regulative principles: no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex. And by living a life of varnashrama dharma. What is varnashrama dharma? It's a regulated social and spiritual duties according to one's nature. And these two, regulative principles and Varnashrama Dharma, should be accompanied by two factors. Can anybody think about these two vital, important factors? Just following, for the sake of following, if we follow Varnashrama Dharma and regulative principles, is that enough? I think there are two vital, important points which should be combined with this to make it perfect. Pardon me? Okay, always remembering Krishna. Fine. Anybody else? Any other pointers? I would rather say self-control and austerity. These two, regulative principles and Varnashrama Dharma principles, should be combined with self-control and austerity. Then it becomes perfect. Okay, this regulated life is conducive for what? To advancement rather than further entanglement into material miseries. Another one last point what I was just thinking about was self-control and devotional life. We know the verse, Savaimana Krishna Padaravindayo. All minds are attracted to the lotus feet of Krishna. What does this highlight? This highlights that genuine satisfaction and control come only by fixating the mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, not on material sense gratification. These are the pointers I thought are emanating from this verse. And what does this signify? The material world's forest. We just discussed that this is not a allegorical representation, but the material world's forest is real and it is very perilous, dangerous. What does it do? It invites the soul to spiritual awakening through regulated devotional life. The opulence and status we are born with, we just discussed. Janma Aishwarya Shrutashri. Are they blessings or otherwise? When do they become blessings? Janma Aishwarya Shrutashri, when do they become blessings? Absolutely, when they are used properly. Otherwise, what happens? They further delude us. And as Queen Kunti's prayers reveal. The purport, Srila Prabhupada starts the purport with Purva Janmarjita Vidya, Purva Janmarjitam Dhanam, Agre Dhavati Dhavati. The translation is knowledge and wealth acquired in previous lives run before one or us like running servants. So let us discuss some points in this regard. Past births results. Knowledge and wealth as divine assets. Srila Prabhupada explains that knowledge and wealth acquired in previous life come to the support uh, of the current body and activities of all of us. They are like servants running ahead of us to serve. What does this highlight? This highlights the continuity of soul's journey through many births. And also, one more point is that the karmic results one carries forward. Um, this fact also emphasizes one important factor of humility. One has to cultivate humility, and one cannot boast about present status. Say, if one is very wealthy, knowledgeable, so he should always cultivate humbleness, and he cannot boast about his present status, as it is a gift from past pious deeds. This is corroborated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 21st chapter and 32nd sloka. Now, another point is Varnashrama Dharma, foundation for social and spiritual order. The Varnashrama system is described as sanctioned by the Supreme Lord. What for is this established? This Varnashrama Dharma is established by Lord Krishna for what? To establish order and duty conducive to spiritual progress. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarnam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasa. Through this system, individuals are given opportunities and roles where they can efficiently use their two things, qualities and wealth. For what? For higher purposes. What happens if these are not followed? If Varnashrama Dharma is not followed, what happens? Chaos and misuse of resources happens. One more thing what is stated in this shloka is the sense organs described as plunderers. The senses are described as thieves because if they are uncontrolled, they deplete two things, all wealth and knowledge. How do they deplete? By tempting the individuals towards material sense gratification. Srila Prabhupada stresses that the senses must be controlled by what? How can we control the senses as per Srila Prabhupada? By regulated devotional service to Krishna. Otherwise, what happens? The hard-earned results of the pious endeavors, what have been accumulated, are wasted. Sramayevahi kevalam. One more point is transforming sense gratification into spiritual service. It is said in the shloka, the purport, that the Krishna conscious movement offers a clear method for what? To control the senses. How it does? It does without suppressing them forcibly, but by channelizing their demands into devotional activities. For example, the senses enjoy what? They enjoy seeing, tasting, smelling, and hearing. All can be satisfied by serving the deity through decoration, prasadam, flowers, and chanting. What does this regulation do? This regulation transforms the senses from enemies into allies of spiritual progress. One more point is warning against material dissipation. Srila Prabhupada cautions against the waste of one's position by indulging in sex life, meat eating, intoxication, gambling, luxury, nightlife, etc. What does these habits uh, do? These habits directly leads to degradation and repeated sufferings, whereas regulated devotional life leads to elevation in one's life towards knowing the higher purpose of life. The last point, what I thought, which crossed my mind, was use of wealth and position in devotion. One's wealth and position should be used for expanding Krishna consciousness, such as building temples, charity, supporting spiritual programs, feeding devotees and needy, and distributing spiritual literature. What does this do? This usage purifies one's assets and ensures continued spiritual benefit even after current life. Okay, all these points what we discussed, how do they relate to the devotees of Iskcon in a practical manner? In the life of Iskcon devotees, many practical experiences actually vividly illustrate the metaphor of material world as the great forest of enjoyment, as well as the spiritual principles discussed in the passage. First point is facing material challenges despite devotion. Devotees, we have experienced that devotees often encounter social pressures, family opposition, financial struggles, and personal hardships. These are akin to what? Ferocious animals and envious mosquitoes described in the forest metaphor. These challenges test the faith of devotees and determination to remain on the devotional path. The second point, the practical point, is misuse and reclamation of material resources. Many devotees share how initially their material resources and talents were spent in pursuit of sense gratification or societal success, but later redirected towards spiritual advancement through various services like temple service, charity, preaching, and personal study, transforming Janma Aishwarya into spiritual wealth. Overcoming senses and attachments. The metaphor of senses, which is given in the shloka as thieves, is often felt in the real life of devotees. They struggle with attachments to family, habits, worldly comforts. So, how to get over it? Through regulated lifestyle, chanting, association with devotees, and following the four regulatory principles, Varnashrama Dharma, they gradually gain control over their senses and mind. Another one is importance of association and guidance. Devotees frequently emphasize how association with pure devotees helps, protects them from Maya's illusions. This association actually provides strength to face the forest dangers rather than getting lost in more and more material entanglements. Experiencing the limitations of fruitive activities. Actually, many devotees recount that engage in fruitive activities or seeking material comforts outside devotional surrender invariably leads to more and more confusion, troubles, and sufferings, reinforcing the insight that material enjoyment is temporary and often painful. Um, the one more thing which came to my mind while going through this uh, verse was the first canto, first chapter, 10th shloka. Prayena alpayusha sabhya kalau asmin yuge janaha manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya yupadrutaha. I was sharing in the initially that I am personification of one verse which I am going to relate. I am the personification. So I just jotted down some notes so that I can, that's what I said, I can present them in a proper sequential manner. In this age of Kali, people almost have a very short lifespan. Their lives are characterized by quarrelsomeness, laziness, misguided thinking, misfortune, and constant disturbance. This process is a bleak reality of human existence in the material world's forest of enjoyment. All these points, what we have studied, emphasize the precarious nature of material life and reinforce in all of us the necessity of using human birth wisely for spiritual advancement rather than sense gratification. This whole discussion aligns well with the forest metaphor of material existence, full of dangers and misguidance. So, what's the conclusion for this class? Interdependence between material position and spiritual progress. Material success is not an end, but a means. Sense control is essential, otherwise, all gains are lost. Srimad Bhagavatam teaches the path of utilizing one's position for divine service, thus attaining both material satisfaction and ultimate liberation. These are some of the contemplations, thoughts, what I have assimilated. If there are any reflections, comments, or suggestions, you are most welcome. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Material progress is there, okay. And spiritual progress is it necessary that only we should go one way, this way or that way? Or we can go balanced way and we can get total spiritual benefit.
Okay. That depends on knowing Adhato Brahma Gijnaso. What is the 5 things are very essential. Who am I? Who is God? Where from I have come? Where should I go? All this. So, what is the ultimate purpose of life? You want to enjoy, you want to have the best of both the worlds. It's not possible. You cannot sail on 2 boats at the same time. That is what we have been, repeatedly the Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, that's what I said in the conclusion. Interdependence between material position and spiritual progress. Material success is not an end, it is a means. Okay, so ultimately what we discussed is we have to go back home, back to Godhead.
The main purpose.
That's the main purpose of life. Or else we'll be getting into the vicious cycle of repeated birth, death, disease, and old age. What is it that one wants? One can know for oneself. Anything else? Okay. Thank you so much for bearing with me. Please excuse me if I have spoken anything more than my adhikar, if I have offended someone. Let us end here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha krupa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. श्री नामाचार्य शील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय. हरे कृष्ण.